Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Voices for Change 2.0, the only podcast that focuses on mental health while mixing in movies, music, books, sports, and pop culture. Here are your hosts, Rebecca and Joe Lombardo.
Hey, good morning to everyone. We are glad that you are with us here today.
Welcome to Voices for Change 2.0. Thanks for taking time out of your busy days to listen to us. We are humbly grateful for that. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And just to warn you ahead of time, there's something going on with my voice. I don't know what it is, but I keep losing it. So
you sound very croaky today.
Yeah, so I'm gonna try to keep it up so you can hear me, but you'll have to forgive me if I have to clear my throat a whole bunch of times. I don't know. I don't know what the heck is going on.
My poor baby.
But so today we have a very interesting show for you.
Are we going to talk about what we said we were going to talk about first, or?
Oh yeah, good call.
Yeah, well that's what I do.
Yeah.
So
you're useful occasionally.
Occasionally, yeah, not all the time. All right, so a couple weeks ago, we went to the movies and we did something we have never done in almost 16 years of marriage.
Yeah, thank God for gift cards.
Yeah, we actually did a double feature. We went and finally got off our butts and saw Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Which is phenomenal,
yes. By the way. If you're a fan of that genre, you have to see that. It's an amazing movie.
Yes, very, very good stuff. And stick around through the credits. There's 5 different end credit scenes. So, wow. And then we hung around and saw Wonder Woman, which was, again, pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I probably will butcher her name, but Gal Gadot.
It's actually Gal Gadot.
Gadot.
Believe it or not, yeah. Everybody keeps saying Gadot, and they recently came out and said, no, you're all saying it wrong. It's actually Gadot.
Okay, so Gadot, she's new to acting, and
yeah.
she was fantastic, and just the whole build up of her character and the backstory and how she got to be who she was, and the hilariousness of bringing her into the decade that they were in through the movie, like showing her what women wear at that time and how they don't carry their shield and sword with them everywhere.
Yeah, the whole fish out of water thing was
very entertaining.
Entertaining as hell, yeah. So we highly recommend both of them. They've got us looking forward to all the movies that are coming up, especially Justice League. I'm gonna show off my nerd cred here and just be like, you know what? I can't wait for it.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait for it either. And so I'm really excited about what they're doing with the Aquaman character. So
yeah. Jason Momoa is
he's a beast.
Yes. So
anyway, that's our excitement. We don't get out much, so
welcome back to Rebecca and Joe at the movies. So with that said, let's bring in our guest.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm losing my voice again. So awesome. Today we are chatting with a very smart and very funny lady that I've recently gotten to know better, and she has a great laugh, and and she is very, very funny. So I'm really excited to be interviewing her today. She's an author, a comedian, and a survivor. So everyone, please welcome to the show Kelly Wilson.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Kelly. Thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
It's our pleasure.
Do you have any questions for us before we just jump on in?
I wasn't really, I haven't seen Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and I haven't seen Wonder Woman. I don't know how I've missed out seeing those two things. And then I was like, Aquaman, whatever. Wait, Jason Momoa?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm in. I'm going to be there opening night.
Do yourself a favor, and after the show, not during the show because that's just rude.
Right.
Go to IMDb, look up Justice League, and watch the trailer because it's on there.
And it's full of Jason Momoa goodness.
Yes, it really is.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Oh,
Do you need a fan? You need a fan or something?
I need a moment.
Gotta love those.
You need a moment?
You gotta love those Samoans, man. The Samoans make some good-looking men. That's what
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sit over here and be chopped liver for a minute.
All right. Well, on a more serious note, we better jump into the questions before we run the heck out of time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's no questions on my end to all of that to say. No.
Well, to answer the question you had, it looks really entertaining. So go watch the trailer.
Good. Okay.
Yes.
Not right now.
Not right now, though.
Yeah, definitely.
Not right this minute.
Don't need you passing out.
Yeah.
So.
Yes.
Because then the people will just be left listening to us, and it's just
that'll get ugly fast. Anyway, so the first question that we have for you is definitely more on the serious side. When it comes to mental illness, what do you personally struggle with?
I personally struggle with trauma-induced post-traumatic stress disorder and depression and anxiety. Those are my formal diagnoses.
Okay.
Okay. What led to your diagnosis of PTSD?
It starts about, let me take you back, 30 years. But, I went through all of this trauma when I was a kid and I was in high school. And I decided that I would go to college, and that was how I was going to get out of it and make a new life for myself, and I was going to be a teacher, and I did all of that. And then I knew I had these challenges, but I was done with that. So I was just going to be done with it. And I did that for about 10 years, I think, until my father-in-law died. And I was really close to him, and that was, I call it the switch that flipped in my brain, where nothing was okay anymore, and all of the stuff that I had not dealt with, that I had decided I was done with, came all back up and demanded attention.
Mm-hmm.
So,
demanded to be heard.
Yes. So I started the summer of 2006. I started in therapy, and I've been with the same therapist for now 11 years. So.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, that really is.
Yeah, we have an amazing relationship. I love her dearly, even though she asks me hard questions sometimes, and I go, I know what you're doing.
You're like, cut it out.
Yes.
Before.
Yeah. Wow. That's great though that you've been able to maintain that kind of connection, with a therapist. I mean, and I'm saying that from the point of view of what Beck and I have gone through with her trying to have therapy and everything, and we've got a new therapist now, and so far it's good feelings about it, but I mean, we literally just started with her not even a month ago. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's still, I don't want to say the honeymoon phase, but
yeah,
newlywed phase even.
Yeah, well, yeah. I've been a person for a very long time that has not believed in therapy. I've never had a good experience with it at all. So, I'm still on the sort of
trepidatious.
Yeah, I'm still a little bit trepidatious about how it's gonna go, but
that's a good word.
So far, so far she is she's great. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, and it's such a scary idea. Like, I am so pro therapy, but I acknowledge. I mean, I'd witnessed that just trying to find one and figure out your insurance almost makes you just want to lay down for days.
Right.
Like,
yeah,
it's so difficult, first of all, and then finding the person and then showing up. And then, I mean, there are so many steps to make it happen, you know.
right.
I have a lot
That's
of respect
exactly
for trying.
Yeah. And I, way back in the days of covered wagons, I was a God, I can't even think of the term
Come on,
right
spit
now.
it out. Use your words.
That's not helping. Why can't I think of the term? I was a medical biller for a brief period of time with a outpatient psychiatric facility, and just knowing everything that goes into just that alone is, you know, and now they've gotten to this point now where they don't want to deal with all the insurance companies, so they're just like, okay, well, you pay me up front, you know, you pay me this $200 fee, and when your insurance company feels like it, they'll reimburse you. And that's not okay. That I found that when I was really doing some heavy searching for therapists, that's what I found more often than not was you pay me, then you'll get paid back someday.
Yeah, then you get reimbursed. So but yeah, you know, with you having the relationship that you have, that's awesome. It's got to have a positive impact for you.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I am really grateful, for sure.
So would you say that you generally use humor as a way to cope with your struggles?
I always have, and it wasn't until like a few years ago where I decided, you know what, I'm just a comedian, okay? Just face it, just own it. Because it wasn't until like a few years ago where I started to believe that was what was different about me. That was what made my voice unique, and that I was indeed funny, because I didn't believe that for a long time. And so now I do it naturally. I use humor all the time, but now I'm more intentional about it. I do it on purpose. So, definitely.
There's definitely something therapeutic about laughter, and you know, I always get a rise out of making people laugh. You know, I really do. Oh
yeah.
You know, at work, I'm constantly trying to find ways of making my boss laugh whenever I have to meet with him about anything. It cracks me up. It's a little smidge of sunshine to my day, knowing that I'm cracking this dude up. I don't know if I ever told you that.
No, he gets his humor from me. He steals all of my jokes.
I don't steal all of your jokes.
All my jokes.
I don't steal all. I steal some of your jokes. You I will admit that.
Stolen a lot of my material.
Okay.
Does he ask though? Because I
ask. No. I'm a blatant thief when it comes to her. I'm not gonna lie. You know, but you know, I borrow from her, but I borrow from other people too, and I have a very deadpan kind of matter of fact way when I'm at work trying to.
Oh, really?
When I'm trying to make Al laugh, my boss, I'll say stuff just completely off the wall, and he'll just start laughing.
No, I was just laughing because that's what I am, basically. I'm just the sarcasm dripping from everything that I say.
Yeah, I'm a little less sarcastic.
All right, next question there.
So, Kelly, when did you start writing?
Like many writers, I've written my entire life.
Okay.
I started writing. I think I did a story in like 3rd or 4th grade about a surprise birthday party.
Okay.
That was terrible. I did not pursue publication with that one.
Can't imagine
but
why.
2002, I would say, like, I had really traumatic childbirth experiences, and in 2002, I had my oldest. I was pregnant with him, and we both almost died. And during that process, and I found that the only way that I could process it was to write about it, and kind of in that, I was teaching at the time too, and so in that whole time period, I was interested in writing for children because I was a teacher, and I thought that was a natural fit. But I think, the universe had other ideas for me, I think, as far as writing goes. Not for children.
Not for children. Yeah, the universe has a lot of plans for all of us, unfortunately, and some of them are like
we're getting dragged in, kicking and screaming.
Yeah, you're kind of left with the what the F,
Yes.
So yeah, I completely get that, but
that's when I started writing. By the way, it was third grade.
Yeah.
And that's when I told everybody that I decided I was going to be a writer. My first story was called White Cloud, and it was about a little Indian girl that lost her feather.
Aww.
You never told me that.
I didn't pursue publication on that one either. But I did the illustration and the writing.
Wow.
Oh, very nice.
See, this is we're getting new knowledge here, folks. I did not know this. I've been married to this woman for 16 years, and she's holding out on me.
I never brought up the title because I didn't want to offend anybody or anything, so I never really mentioned the title. But
yeah,
that's what it was. She was called White Cloud.
Aw, that sounds very cute. I bet you don't still have it, do you?
They used to have it over at my folks' house. I don't know if they still do.
That wouldn't surprise me.
So
everything's at that house.
Yeah. When did you write your first book, and what is it called?
My first book is actually a money-saving book called Live Cheap and Free.
Really?
Yeah.
I quit
teaching. I know. I quit teaching. And we lived on one income. My husband is a teacher, too, so we lived on one teacher income for a year. With a couple of little kids. So that was when the couponing craze was really hot.
Yeah.
And I was way into it. I was way into, like, the couponing and the deals and all that. And so I was telling a friend of mine one day about, oh my gosh, I got this amazing deal, blah, blah, blah. And she said, you're a writer. You should really market yourself. So I was like, okay, whatever. And then a couple nights later, I woke up in the middle of the night and I was like, I guess I could write it down. Oh.
It wouldn't kill me. I got the time.
I guess I could do that. I mean, I can write, I guess. So I wrote all these strategies that I used and stuff, and that was my first book.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah. So, and then the second one it wasn't revenge, but it was definitely, it was revenge.
Well, this took a turn.
That one's called Don't Punch People in the Junk, and it was shortly after the first one, so I kind of grouped those two together. But my youngest is, he's very smart and funny and a bit of a challenge. And so I got, finally after the principal called me and told me that he had punched 2 kids in the junk within like a 24-hour period. It wasn't even 24 hours. It was like 18 hours. I was like, that's it. I'm writing all this stuff down.
And when he gets older, he can read all about all the crap he used to do.
He's gonna read it and say, I didn't do that. And he'll be like, yeah, you did. You kind of did.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, so, yeah. So then I wrote that all down and published it.
That's hilarious.
And and
might
there
not
are
stop you.
lessons, that you never think that you have to tell kids, like don't punch people in the junk.
Yeah.
If you want friends. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Well, on that note, we've got to take a quick break. We're going to be listening to the lovely Jay Knight, Living for the Memories.
Memories warm you up inside, forever timeless. A single second that will stand the test of time. Waiting for a moment that's already passed you by. Don't you want to know what you've been missing? What you've been living blind. Life is what happens when you're making up a plan. Here and now. Those memories tear you up inside. You break the silence. A single second that will stand the test of time. Waiting for a moment that's already passed you by. Don't you want to know what you've been missing? What you've been living blind. Life is what happens when you're making up a plan. Here and now. Tomorrow, no need to sorrow, no need to feel the pain we do. No need for angels, demons, or fables, praying to gods that don't come through. Dream as if you live forever. Live as if you die today. I don't even know anything is even real, nowhere and nowhere, losing time. Life is what happens when you're making up a plan. Here and now, always have to live it like a fantasy. Here and now, hold on tight, we're living for the memory. Here and now, always have to live it like a fantasy. Here and now, hold on tight, we're living for the memory.
Wow, that was a quick ending. Hey there, welcome back to Voices for Change 2.0. I'm Joe. That's Rebecca sitting next to me, and we're talking to the
Good
lovely.
morning.
We're talking to the lovely Kelly Wilson. Hi, Kel.
Hello.
Hiya. I was really thrown off by the end of that song.
Me too. I was
Whoa,
like,
abrupt.
it's over.
Yeah. And go.
Yeah.
You know. All right. So
I did
we were
like it
talking,
though, like living for the memories. I mean, that was into it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely gonna get you going on a Saturday morning for sure.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, so we were talking before about various things, and you mentioned the hubby and the kids and stuff. So, how many kids do you have, and how old are they? And what are their social security numbers?
I have two boys. They are 15 and 12 right now.
Wow.
So our house stinks, and there's no food.
That's kind of how it goes.
I grew up with 4 older brothers, and there were certain areas of the house that permanently smelled like a fart, so I completely understand that.
Yeah, I grew
swear.
up an only child, so.
Oh, I swear, one of my children's feet smells like cat pee. I'm like, you have got to wash those things. That is disgusting. He has special spray. It's incredible to me.
Wow.
I was looking around the house for a cat pee because we have 2 cats, and it wasn't them. They were like, "Step off! We didn't do it. It's your son."
Oh. They actually said this to you.
Oh yes.
I imagine it's more like meow, meow, meow.
And I got all of that from their meows. Yeah, I'm really good.
Rather how people can understand Chewbacca. Okay.
Yeah.
Got to figure some way to get Star Wars in there somehow, don't you?
Well, it's my wheelhouse. I mean, you know.
So you are an advocate for those with PTSD, especially parents. Can you tell us a little bit more about that, Kelly?
Yes, and I am the founder of PTSD Parent, which is right now a website, but I have visions of it being a community for people who deal with PTSD in their families, either as a parent or as a child of a parent. Maybe as a parent of a child who has post-traumatic stress disorder.
Wow.
And it started from this interaction that I had because I'm very open about having post-traumatic stress disorder. People ask me questions and tell me stuff all the time, which is fine. And she said, "So you have post-traumatic stress disorder?" And I said, "Yeah." She goes, "Were you in the military?" And I said, "No." And she said, "Well, why do you have PTSD?" And I thought for a second, and I was like, well, because I am a survivor of childhood sexual abuse. And I don't say that a lot because there's always a flinch. There's a flinch, and it's not intentional. There's like a physical flinch, or there's a flinch like you can see right behind the eyes. And I thought about that for a long time because it was really the first time that I had said that in several years. So I thought to myself, you can either stop talking about it and be done, or you can keep talking about it, which apparently is your passion anyway, and you're going to have to deal with this flinch that you see. And I was like, well, how can we maybe stop seeing that flinch so much? And that's when I was like, people need education about trauma-induced PTSD, and people who have it need support and inspiration, and that's when I created PTSD Parent. So.
That's
awesome.
That's a website now too, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a website. My friend and I are working on a podcast, but that's going to be a while down the road, I think. And then I'm working on a book about being a parent who has post-traumatic stress disorder. So.
Wow, that's actually really awesome that you're bringing awareness to it too. That really is. I know. With us not having any kids, it's one thing that doesn't really come to mind. Thinking, okay, how would a parent react? They're raising kids. In your case, you've got 2 boys that I would imagine. Maybe not as much now because they're the age they are, but at least when they were younger, were probably a hell of a lot more rambunctious, and having to confront PTSD while you're dealing with that.
It's like I was talking about when Kelly and I spoke earlier in the week. It's just not a topic that's often brought up,
right?
And there's not a lot of awareness around it. So it's great that she is. Taking the reins here and bringing it to the forefront.
Yeah. Considering your past and your diagnosis, do you think parenting is harder for you than for most?
I think parenting, I think it's more complicated. I don't know that it's harder, but I think that there's always this, there's kind of, there are these layers to parenting for me. So there's what I went through, and generally, like, dealing with, in the process of parenting my children, some of my PTSD will be triggered, and sometimes my PTSD will be triggered in ways that have nothing to do with them.
Wow.
And so I have to deal with that part, and then another layer is what I want them to get out of this family. So I want them to have what I didn't have, which sounds a little cliche, but it's like, but not in the way that we normally or typically hear. It's like, I want them to be able to identify and process their emotion. I want them to be able to have conversations with other people without getting completely stressed out.
Right.
Just like, I want them to be able to function in the world as I imagine, quote unquote, normal people function.
Right.
To know what it means to have fun, to not have to be an adult at 10 years old, just,
right.
just little things.
Yeah, nothing,
But, it can just be, it's so difficult, like, especially when I'm not triggered by them, it's in some ways easier, but when I am parenting them and I am triggered, that's when it's the hardest, because it's like, I'm trying to deal with my own PTSD symptoms and then whatever the situation is, and taking care of that and being a good parent and taking care of myself. And it's exhausting.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I mean, it's, parenting in general is a daunting task no matter what,
Oh my goodness, yeah.
It is, and Beck and I have a lot of respect for that, and it was a decision that we made long ago that it wasn't an avenue we were going to pursue, partly because of what Beck deals with her struggles,
Right.
And, so having just the normal parenting struggles on top of, what you go through, I mean, that's a daunting task.
Yeah.
And what is, when you say that when you're triggered by something, what does that look like for you? What does that entail, I guess, when you're experiencing heightened symptoms?
For me, right now I'm in a stage, because I have found this with post-traumatic stress disorder, that symptoms kind of change over time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, the brain being malleable and able to rewire or retrain. Right now, the pattern is I go completely numb, which is both frightening and useful. Because then I want access to my emotions, but my brain won't allow that because it's too overwhelming. So I go completely numb, and then that requires a lot of thought. So, like, I have to think through what, quote unquote, should I be feeling right now? What's reasonable to feel right now? What is required of me as far as response or reaction or consequences? And then, fortunately, I have a really good partner that helps me out. But one really great one that it's happened in the last year was with my oldest. And I've written about this with his permission, so I can talk about it too, I assume. But
Hopefully.
He is 15, but he looks old. He's always looked older. He's this, like, he's still a lanky kid, but he's a big kid, and he has RBF, so he always looks pretty serious and sometimes angry. And
I had to think about what RBF is a second. Sorry.
He didn't.
Resting bitch face.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
I wasn't sure if I could say the whole words.
Yeah. No,
Oh,
you're,
honey,
you're...
after a couple of those shows we've had, bitch is like
it
kindergarten.
Came. Yeah.
No big deal. That's totally fine.
Yeah.
But you know, he's got this dark look about him, but he's like a total sensitive kid. You know, he's a teddy bear kind of thing. But he didn't like a decision that I had made, and he said, "Well, I wish you would have done blah blah blah," and I thought he was joking, and I turned around and he was totally glaring at me, you know, like head tilted down, thick eyebrows, eyes like if they could kill you, you'd be dead. Wow. And I was like, whoa, you know, and it totally sent me into this. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm totally having a PTSD trigger right now because, you know, and as my therapist said, who did you see in that moment? Well, I saw my father, of course. And so I just felt complete panic, like I was totally threatened by him. Wow. And and that once we talked about it in therapy, because she was like, why are you threatened by your child? I mean, wow. Like, wow, okay. So, you know, that sent me into a panic, and I had to just leave. I had to leave, and I didn't know how I was going to talk to him again, which was really, like other people that I've had, you know, if a relationship becomes toxic, you know, you can just say, look, I'm not gonna deal with this anymore, or I choose not to have a relationship with you because it's too triggering or whatever. But this is my kid.
Yeah.
Like, how do you do that?
You can't really walk away from that one, you know.
Right.
I mean, you can take a breather and temporarily step out and be like, all right, I'm going to go over here for a minute. You stay there. But you know, eventually you got to be back in the same room with that person again and have a line of communication, you know?
Totally.
Yeah, that would be difficult.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That would be difficult.
Yeah, and it took a few days of just that one I didn't really go numb for very long. I went kind of straight to tears and fear and panic.
Right. Did he realize what you were going through immediately afterwards?
Have you been open with them about all of your struggles?
I've been pretty open throughout their lives because they've never met my parents.
Okay.
And I wrote a book about, it's a funny grief memoir, and it talks about abuse and recovery. It's called Caskets from Costco, and my oldest has read it. So he has an understanding, but at the same time, like, I've been married to my husband for 22 years, and I still have to explain some of my symptoms or processes, or especially as they change, you know. And so to try and deal with my son and just this interaction that we had, it's not just the interaction, it's all the layers underneath that interaction for me. So to try and explain what I was going through was incredibly difficult. Also, you can't talk to me like that.
Right. Yeah, that's the other thing too. It's like, you know, I brought you into this world, I'll take you out.
Right. If you don't want math tutoring, don't get a D. So the end.
Exactly.
You know?
You know, don't suck at math so much.
Yes.
You know? Yeah, do better.
Be better. Okay.
That hits me hard. I sucked at math.
She kind of does.
Yeah.
I love her, but she kind of does.
All right. So on that note, we are going to take our last break. We'll be playing out to Tara Naomi, and the song is called "Help You Fly."
know how misery loves its company. Got a party gathered around you now. They come running from far and wide, but who's gonna help you fly? And they come calling when you're falling down. Someone to always pick you up off the ground. Oh, nobody wanna see you cry, but who's gonna help you fly? Whoa, 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 who's gonna help you fly? Well, the city that I live in feels smaller every day. It's like a little town. People always gonna help you get by, but who's gonna help you fly? And it's a messed up situation when I got the words to call on when the well runs dry. But I just wanna celebrate my life. Wanna find someone to help me fly. Whoa, 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 who's gonna help you fly? Whoa, whoa, whoa. I wanna fly, wanna sail across the open sky, wanna love with all my might till I'm feeling like I'm high. I wanna fly, so say you stay with me tonight. We can sit under the stars, I'm gonna love you to the morning light. I wanna fly.
Hey, welcome back to Voices for Change 2.0. We are so glad to have you with us today.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to be laughing. We talk sometimes during the when we got a song playing, just for the listeners who don't know, and we were talking about how Beck's voice has been kind of rough, and jokes were cracked about get off my lawn and all that, and I was reminded of the time that she told.
Okay, can we not?
Don't tell the story.
We're not gonna. We're just gonna stick to the format of the show. We're not gonna tell that story. That's not a good story.
Right.
Or just no. Okay.
Kelly, I'll tell you about it sometime because it's. I'm sorry, it's hilarious, but now all the listeners are gonna be like, "What's going on?" So, sorry, listeners.
What's going on? I like your falsetto.
Oh my God, this show has gone off the tracks so far.
Well, I mean, if you can talk like that, Joe, what's going on? And then Rebecca can be deeper. You guys could just switch roles. Just for today.
Yeah. Yeah,
Sorry.
I don't think that'll fly.
I have no words right now. It's probably good because you can hear me. All right, let's get back to the show.
I'm sorry, honey.
So Kelly, what are you working on now, and what keeps you busy these days?
My first thought was, I'm kind of working on just surviving.
Really?
It's a process.
It really is, and there's like, it ebbs and flows. Like sometimes are fairly peaceful, but the last 6 months have been pretty turbulent, and so I've been navigating that stuff, and then trying to work on. Really, my focus is working on PTSD Parent and fleshing out that website. And my friend and I are recording, doing more of not a call-in show, but recording our podcast around parenting and PTSD. And then my writing friends were like, when I started this project, they were like, you got to write a book now, right? I was like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I've been gathering, because I write all the time. I write every day, because I cannot help myself, really. And it's not even an intentional thing. It's just, oh, yeah, that's a great idea. And then I write, and then I start writing, and then I write till I'm done. So I've been gathering all of that kind of stuff that I've written about what it's like to parent with mental health challenges. So that's what I'm working on.
That's very cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Are you going out and doing the comedy as well?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, like I meant to ask you this earlier in the show, and we had changed topics, so I never got to bring it up. And I'm asking this mainly because I just don't know. I know you and Beck talked earlier in the week, but so with your comedy, do you like go out and do stand up, or what do you do?
Well, a couple of years ago, I was floundering in my life.
Okay.
And I had been fired from a job, and I was kind of floating, and I was doing odd jobs and stuff, and my friend said, come to my retreat for businesswomen. And I go, I'm not a businesswoman, what? And she said, come to my retreat. And I said, all right. And so while I was there, like we talked about, the universe had other plans for me.
Right.
So it was kind of like, I know this sounds kind of woo-woo, but the universe was like, look, these are your gifts: writing, speaking, comedy. You're funny. Face it. And then I was like, own it. And I was like, okay. And then I was like, well, can I do anything with that to possibly make some money or help people? And so I thought what I'd really like to do is to combine speaking and stand-up comedy with mental health stuff. So I looked into it, and there's this one program or organization called Stand Up for Mental Health, and they are out of Canada, but they had classes in Portland, where I live. So I got on the horn because I'm like, that's one of the things I learned from this business retreat was somebody who's doing what you want to do and partner with them. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to own everything. You can help people. Sure. So I was like, oh, I want to be a part of that. So I kind of badgered the guy who's now my friend, Dave, like, can I take your class? When's your class? Let me take your class. I want to take your class. So he finally let me. And
poor bastard.
Yeah, poor guy. And over the last year and a half, we've become friends, and he's like, you have a way with this, you have a way with people. And I said, well, I'd actually like to teach people how to do stand-up comedy kind of as a therapy. And he said, great. And so he's been my mentor for probably the last 9 months to a year. So we are teaching a class. We are teaching at least one class right now. I think we're going to add another one. And that's what we do. And then a part of that, we work with our local county, and part of our agreement with the county is to go out and do performances. So we've been to hospitals and libraries and church basements and comedy clubs. We've been everywhere, just spreading the word. And I do other shows too, but my energy level being what it is, I just have to focus right now on the stand up for mental health stuff. So.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah, it is. I didn't know that about you. I know I saw the one photo that you sent of me of you standing in front of a microphone, but I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know if that was a regular thing for you or not. So that's very cool.
Yeah, thank you.
What advice do you have for a family that may have just discovered that their child was abused?
I think that this question is amazing because I'm actually going through something like this right now with friends of my family, and I talked with them already and got permission to share with no names, of course.
Right.
But been friends with these people for 25 years, and we were in college together, and then we both had children, and so her daughter came forward she's junior high, and said that she had been abused several years ago. What I've discovered going through this process with them is that we remember, our memories are stored based on our developmental level. So if it was several years ago, that's how she remembers it. She remembers it as a small child. So that makes it more challenging in some ways. So anyway, what I've learned going through this, because I was the first phone call after the disclosure, is that there's going to be a lot of shock, and it's going to last a really long time, or what seems like a long time, and you're really going to want it to be a lie. You're just really going to prefer that the child is lying because otherwise, this terrible thing has happened. So just know that that's going to happen. And then I went immediately to my therapist and said, what do we do? And, of course, she had great advice, but also some of it might be out of their hands because if a child tells a teacher, a mandatory reporter, then that goes through Department of Human Services and the police. And so to some extent, people will contact them.
Right.
But my friend didn't really want to wait for that. And so we have a community resource called the Children's Center that my friend called, and this is what they do. This is all they do, which is an amazing resource and a terrible resource. You know what I mean? The fact that it even exists is awful.
That, it needs to be there in the first place, Yeah,
but they they do medical and psychological evaluations and with kids who disclose abuse, and they do interviewing, and it's an amazing place. I went with them into the waiting room part anyway, and it's amazing. I don't know to what extent other communities have those kinds of resources. So because of that, I would say ask for help. All the help. Ask for all the help.
You're just gonna
have to put sit with your shock for maybe a couple days and then put it away because this is going to take a long time, and just ask for professional help, follow leads.
You kind of have
Yeah.
to will yourself into action.
Would
You
you
really
would you
do.
suggest going to the police to begin with? Is that
I learned something.
making a police report about it, does that help your case in any way?
Oh, I think it depends on how recent. I learned something really valuable while I was at the Children's Center dealing with this with my friend is the police want the case solved. And
Right.
their main priority is time. And I get that. They don't want this person to do more damage, right?
Right.
And then on the other side, you have the medical and psychological professionals who are trying to honor this, or who are honoring this process of disclosure, which trauma's effect on the brain means you don't remember right away, or you may never really remember, or you don't recall details, or you're not comfortable or aware of disclosing until several years have passed, you know?
Right.
So, I mean, if it happened like yesterday or last week or whatever, then absolutely go to the police. But in her case,
Right.
it happened long ago and the details aren't really clear. So, yeah, it's a terrible situation no matter how you slice it.
Yeah, it's a strange dichotomy of balance, you know. It's like you said, if it happened last week, well, yeah, you get the police involved right away, they get the thing solved, and you work through the trauma. But when it's something that years have gone by, you know, then, yeah, you know, you still want to get the police involved. But, you know, this poor soul that's gone through this needs to work through the trauma and, you know, come out the other side being okay, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's like, which way do you go, you know?
Exactly. And I said to one of the people there, because I went they interview the parents and stuff, and I went in with her. She requested that I come in with her, and I said, I just want to grab this kid and shake her and say, "Tell me everything." and the doctor was like, "That's completely normal."
Yeah.
We're not going to do that.
Right.
And I was like, yes, of course.
Right. But that's how you feel.
Yeah, but that's how I feel. And it helps to tell somebody else that, so that then you can go back to the child and be like, I'm taking your lead, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, Kelly, unfortunately, we have come to the end of our time with you today. We're sad about that because we've really enjoyed talking about you.
Talking with you.
Yes, thank you.
Talking about you is a whole different thing.
Well, we're doing a little of that. But, yeah, we've enjoyed talking with you, and I'm glad that we're able to bring a little bit of lightness to such a serious topic.
Yeah.
And we hope nobody thinks that we're, making light of it. We just, we're talking to a comedian who also happens to have PTSD, so, it's hard for her to turn either of those off, and it's, once we get going, then it's hard for any of us to turn it off, so.
Yeah, I never shut up.
But we're really grateful for you being on the show today, and
absolutely, yeah. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Stay on the line, and we'll be with you in a few minutes. But we're going to play Carly Robin Green.
What Love is All About.
Yes, what love is all about.
And have a great day.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a great day, everybody.
I've heard 10,000 love songs on the radio.
Join us next week as Rebecca and Joe continue to battle the stigma of mental illness. Follow us on Twitter at Voices for Change RJ and on Facebook at Voices for Change 2.0.